Adam here from the Walser Automotive Group, and what I want to do today is take you on a test drive. So next to me here, I have a 2026 Honda CR-V Hybrid. Now we'll look at the interior, exterior, some of the trim level specifics, then go for a spin around, see what it's like out on the road. All right, so now we're behind the wheel of the 2026 Honda CR-V Hybrid. Now this is a new trim for 26. This is called the TrailSport. So we're going to keep the Sport, Sport L, and then above this is still going to be the Sport Touring. But this one's going to be a little bit more off-road focused, and we'll touch on some of those features later. But for now, let's talk about 26, some of the updates for the CR-V Hybrid. So the biggest one would be that inside, all CR-Vs are now going to get this 9-inch touchscreen standard. That's going to have wireless Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto and wireless phone charging in here, which is really convenient. So one other thing is going to be a new enhanced traction management system. So that'll work, I think, up to about 9 miles per hour on the all-wheel drive models. And really, it can kind of split torque more evenly throughout the all-wheel drive system and the 2 axles. So if you're up here in the Midwest like we are with the snow, maybe doing a little bit of off-roading in the TrailSport, that is a pretty cool addition now for 2026. Today, we'll kind of focus on the TrailSport. So like I said, this is a new trim for 2026, and with those minor changes that they did make, the CR-V Hybrid still is one of those gold standard vehicles when you're looking at midsize or crossover SUV. Now, before we get too much more into it, let's put it in drive, we'll go for a spin around and touch on some of these other features. Now let's begin with what powers these CR-V hybrids. Now there's a 2-liter with 2 electric motors. So horsepower wise, you're looking at about 204 horsepower. So it's not the fastest thing on the road, but fuel efficiency is where the CR-V hybrid really shines. Now this particular one is going to be 35 mpg combined with the all-wheel drive. So it is important to note that you can get front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. So if you're looking for the best possible mileage, the front-wheel drive version would be the one to consider there. But if you're living up here, like I said, in the Midwest where we are, you've got the rain, snow, like I said, maybe a little off-roading, I think the all-wheel drive is the way to do it. Now it actually gets 38 mpg in the city, which is pretty awesome mileage, like I said, from one of these little SUVs. It just kind of scoots up and gets moving. That kind of electric fill from the system is really convenient. It kind of finds a way to sort of boost you along. So when you put your foot down, you hear it kind of rev up and go, and it's more than enough, I would say, for 99% of driving. Now let's begin on the exterior. So like I said, with the TrailSport being a new model, there's some pretty cool features on the outside. This one is the Radiant Red Metallic. So it is a really good looking color. Hopefully the camera kind of picks up some of the metallic in the paint, but it pairs really nicely with kind of that titanium colored 18-inch wheel. And this one does get those more off-road focused Continental tires. Now it's also important to note they're not really loud on the road. Sometimes when you sacrifice to get the better grip and traction off-road, you get a really noisy tire. But these are still pretty small. I think it was a 235 60/18, so it's not super noisy when you're out on the highway. It's not howling like one of those trucks goes by you. But if you do plan on doing a little bit of off-roading, you can air down a little bit and get some pretty good bite out of these. Now, a few other things on the TrailSport model for the exterior. You're going to get the TrailSport badging front and rear, and you're also going to get a little bit more kind of beefy style grille as it's kind of blacked out, and there's some faux underbody kind of panels that come up, so it does give it that kind of more aggressive off-road appearance. You're also going to get the black mirror caps as well as the black door handles, so it just does look like an off-road vehicle should, just a little bit tougher and a little bit more aggressive. Now at the rear of the vehicle, these don't tow very much. I think if you were going to put a bike rack on it, that would probably be about it. I think it's around 1,500 pounds, but what's nice, this does have a power liftgate. So you can do it on the key fob, you can click the button on the back, which is really convenient. Just kind of a lot of easy ways to load up the vehicle, because they probably figured people are using these to go out on camping trips, going on road trips. So having that extra just usability out back. Plus, the seats are also a 60/40 split rear seat. So you can kind of pull the handle, that'll knock them down on both sides. So if you need a little bit of extra room, I want to say it was something like 11 airline bags fit in the back, and with it all folded down, you can get something like 20 some in there. So there is quite a bit of room, and it always is surprising in these CR-Vs. Now, as we work our way towards the driver's seat, if we're in the second row here, what's really nice is that seat is extremely comfortable. Where I sit at 6'1", I didn't move the seat and I still had plenty of knee space. I had headroom back there, and those seats do recline. So as you get the teenagers maybe in the back, they're gonna wanna recline those seats back, or if you're bringing people with you, it's just a super comfortable place to be. Plus, there's also USB charging in the back there and a couple of vents, whether it's for the kids or maybe for the dogs. Now, as we work our way up into the driver's seat, there's a lot of comfort and cool stuff up here. Now, like I said, there's an even higher trim level above this, so if you want even more equipment, you can go up to the Sport Touring, but the TrailSport's cool. With the headrest here, you kind of have the stitched in TrailSport logo. This one does get the all-weather floor mats. Obviously, it's the rubber mats because they figure you're probably going to be doing a little bit of off-roading or camping, so that also has the TrailSport logo in there, which I really like. But these seats, they're really comfortable. Now, it's going to be a power seat on my side with lumbar as well, but they're also going to be heated. Like I said, for tackling those Minnesota winters, having a 3-level cloth seat. So on a day like today, when it's about 80 degrees already this morning, the leather compared to the cloth, it doesn't get so hot. But then in the wintertime, what's really nice is that the cloth seats heat up really quickly. Plus, this one also comes standard with a remote start on the key fob. So I think you can fire it up, and I can't remember if it runs for about 10 minutes, but it just makes it really simple. Now, one of my all-time favorite features, this one does have the leather-wrapped heated steering wheel. It is so comfortable in your hands, plus when that heat kicks on, when your fingers aren't freezing cold, when the snow does start to fly, that is one of the best features you can get in all these new vehicles, and I just think it's worth the TrailSport upgrade alone. But on the steering wheel, the left side's kind of going to be your volume controls, and you can kind of scroll through the digital display. Now, there's a little bit of differences in display depending on which trim level you're looking at, but the TrailSport will have the larger, just a little over 10-inch display. Left side's going to kind of give you some of your radio information, so if you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, want to switch to Bluetooth, you can do that easily, and then just the volume control. Then on the right side, that's going to be some of your safety settings, some of your trip computer stuff can be built through there, but this screen and kind of little setup is really quick. It's very responsive, it's very easy to use, and you can even go through there and look at some of your safety support stuff. So the Honda Sensing safety system is amazing. Blind spot monitoring, this has the adaptive cruise control system, so you can set kind of 4 different lengths on the highway or if you're cruising on these back roads. I love that feature. It's really something they've started to adapt into all new cars, and it just gives you a real good peace of mind when you're on the road. Plus, it also has road departure mitigation. It's going to have that blind spot, like I said, and collision mitigation, which is kind of like an emergency braking system. Now, the infotainment screen, like I said, is going to change for 2026, so it's going to be the larger display in here. I paired my phone in about 30 seconds, and I've got wireless Apple CarPlay in here, or Android Auto you can do, text messaging, Google Maps, Spotify, and on the steering wheel, you can even use Siri. So you just press and hold. That makes it so simple to not be messing with your phone when you're on the go. Like I said, it's also got wireless charging down here, so you can just put your phone on the little wireless charging pad, and it's going to be all set up for you. Or there's a couple little USB-C charging ports down there. Now, this one also does get the dual zone climate control, which is great. So if there's 2 of you in the car, you're not fighting over who's hot, who's cold, you can set it up. That is also a great feature that comes in the TrailSport. What about the ride and drive? Maybe you can hear the best thing about these hybrid vehicles is when they switch back and forth into the EV. So you'll always have the little green ready light on here, but then you might see the green EV light pop up. That means it's just using the electric power. So it's very quiet and smooth when you're on the road. Then if you kind of put your foot down, you might hear the engine kick back on, but it's seamless. There's no harsh transition between when it's going between the electric or the gas engine. That's not like some of the hybrids of old, and I think that kind of turned people away from the hybrid vehicles. But really, it's so smooth out on the road, and it is important to note this isn't a plug-in hybrid. This just regenerates as you're driving around, and you can actually keep an eye on it if you want. So through that kind of right side of the infotainment, or your digital gauge cluster rather, you can kind of see where the power is going. So right now I'm in the EV mode. You can kind of hear how quiet it is, but I can see the electric motor is working, moving power around, and helping me save some money at the fuel pump, which definitely is a great thing. But I mean, overall, it's quiet, it's comfortable, and it works. Even if people don't know cars, you can look at this vehicle and say, that's a CR-V, because they haven't changed the formula that's worked for many, many years. And that's what's so great about Honda. You could throw anyone the keys to this vehicle, they would hop in and immediately say, okay, push the button, put it in drive, and I'm off and running. Some vehicles kind of make it overcomplicated, but this doesn't. It just makes it easy. And if you think it's you in the car 99% of the time, you're running to work, picking up the kids, there's just so much ease of use in here that it really makes it a pretty great vehicle for day-to-day anythings. And now even in the back seat, if you've got the kiddos, you're loading up the car seats. One thing that people never really touch on is it's almost kind of a 90-degree opening. So that rear door swings all the way open. So if you ever tried to load the kids into the car seat, you know, that can be a little hassle when the door keeps hitting you in the back, but having it kind of swing all the way open and out of the way is so nice. It's those little touches that really do make the CR-V such a great, usable, easy vehicle. Now let's touch on the price. So MSRP on this particular vehicle is going to be right around $40,600. Now the only real added option into this one would be the Radiant Red Metallic, which is a little bit of a price. So I mean, if you didn't want the all-wheel drive, you just need the front-wheel drive, or you didn't want all the equipment, you can kind of bump down a few levels to save a little bit of money. Or if you want even more stuff, you can bump up to the Sport Touring. But I think for the money, if we're looking at the average new car price right now at over $50,000 in the US, this is still giving you a lot of stuff. I mean, we've got the sunroof in here, we've got wireless Apple CarPlay with an awesome backup camera as well. We're getting 35 miles per gallon combined, and I think pretty awesome style on the exterior, plus something that's really capable. Maybe you've got the cabin, you're into the outdoor activities. I mean, all these little kind of crossover-y sport vehicles are coming out now, and they're really cool. And they're still usable, still getting great fuel economy, and a great warranty. Plus, when you shop with Walser, we offer an 8-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. So that's going to keep you on the road for many years to come and enjoying your CR-V Hybrid. I mean, I think this is definitely one to add to the list to come out and take for a spin and see what you think. Now that was just a quick look and drive at the 2026 Honda CR-V Hybrid. Now if you have any other questions or you'd like to schedule a test drive, you can visit us online at walser.com or stop by anytime. We'd be more than happy to help. Thanks again for watching.